Okay, so everyone, we're working with watercolor today. So if you don't have watercolor, that's okay. You can work with whatever you have at home, crayons, color pencils, markers. If you are working with watercolor, you need to have your paints, your water, paint brushes, a pencil, and an eraser if your pencil doesn't already have an eraser. And we're working a lot in something called wet on wet. So it's a good idea to have a paper towel. And if you don't have tape to put down your paper, that's okay. We're just gonna be careful putting too much water, because if you put a lot of water, your paper is gonna curl up. All right, so, but it's important to have a paper towel. If not a paper towel, anything absorbent, like a t-shirt will work, it's cotton, even toilet paper, something that's gonna absorb the wet paint. So if you don't have that, you should get it. I'll give you like a minute to get that. Does anybody need to get that right now? Okay. All righty. So first thing before we get started drawing, I'm going to use my paintbrush. I'm going to wet it. And I'm going to wet all my colors. So we're not going to use all these colors. It's okay if you guys don't have these colors. This is kind of extensive. You can see I never use some of these guys. But we're just going to wet every one of these colors. Because what's great about watercolor is you could leave this paint for years and years, and it could be hard as rock. But then you just put a little bit of water on it, and it turns into paint again. And then once you're done, remember, don't leave your paintbrush in the water. If you leave it in the water too long, your brush can become like the glue that keeps your strands together can become unstuck, and you'll ruin your brush. All right, so once you have your paint all wet, we're gonna just move that to the side, and we're gonna get started drawing our deer. And I'm just wiping off my paper because it got a little wet. Okay, so I'll have this. That's pretty good. There we go. Okay. So we're going to break down our shapes into very simple shapes. Our deer is a very round, cute creature. So we're going to break it down into a lot of circles and ovals. So we're going to start with a big circle. And remember, when we're drawing, you don't want to do it too hard. If you draw really hard and you mess up, you don't like it, you want to erase it, it's not going to erase. If you draw really light, it'll be almost completely gone. So it's important that when you're drawing to be light with your pressure. So after you get your circle, we're going to do 2 ovals up here. Right now it looks like a stretched out Mickey Mouse. Then we're going to have, this will make it easier so it's more even on each side. You put just a line down the middle. Then we're going to do a big circle here, a big circle here. That's kind of where the eyes are going to be. Then below that, we're going to do a long oval past the circle.
Wait, what are we drawing?
Down here. And then another oval here. And then just to have the body go off the page.
What are we doing?
Down that way. That went a little fast, so let you guys catch up. So don't worry about details right now. We're just getting down the main shapes. So we start with our big circle. It helps if you put a line in the middle. Then you have your ears, this big eye socket on each side. This is going to be what it's called the muzzle, where the mouth is. Then the neck and the body. Once you get to this point, you're going to start connecting your shapes. So we're going to start here. Connect. I'm going to flatten out the head a little bit. Connect. See? Now just erase the top part. All right. And go up, down, just following the shape. So it's easier for you guys to see. All right. So then just connecting. Connecting. All right. So the eyes aren't a perfect circle. So we're going to bring it down. Again, it's just below the circle. And go inside the circle. Down. Okay. And we're going to go down again. Start on the outside of the circle. Go in, cut across to here. And on that side. So see, it went inside of the circle, so we're not using the outside. And you can erase your basic shape lines at the end too. I'm just erasing so there's not too many lines for you guys to get stuck looking at. All right. So now for the muzzle, we'll start up here. Cut through here, each side. And the mouth kind of looks like a cat mouth in a way. It's kind of like, woo, a little.
Can you wait, please?
Little cat. So it just goes up and down.
Can you wait, please?
And then the bottom lip slightly smaller than that oval.
Can you wait, please?
Okay.
Hey, Cecily, I think the kids need more time. Can she not hear us?
All right. And the nose, there are two nostrils. A lot of cartoons with deer, they'll have them have a little round button nose, you know? You'll see on like the Christmas cards. That's because their noses are black, so it appears dark. It appears kind of like a button nose, but they're actually nostrils, kind of like cows.
Can you wait, please?
Here, connecting. Here. And so go around, clean up my drawing, clean up these underlines. Because when we're painting things in, we don't want to be confused with what are we painting.
Can you wait, please?
Don't need my center line anymore. And for the inside of the ears, I'm going to start here. Just draw like that little kind of parentheses in there. It shows. Okay. Same on this side. All right. All right. So that's kind of where we're at now. Now I'm looking at it. I think I need to make my muzzle a little wider.
Sesame,
So you can go
you
around,
wait,
kind of
please?
adjust your drawing if you need to. I see I want my muzzle to be a little wider, not too much wider. There we go. Okay. All right. So once you guys are at this point, I'm gonna let you guys finish your drawing a little bit, and I'm going to do a quick little tutorial on what I mean by when I say wet on wet. So wet on wet wasn't really wet on wet, but anyway, wet on wet means we're using plain water, right? Just painting with plain water. So if you just take your paint, you just take your paint and paint it on dry paper, kind of sticks to wherever you put it, right? If you put your paint on top of wet paper, it'll spread. And it gives like a really nice soft edge, and you're really loose with it. And this is really good for if you want to make like a background that transitions. So see in this background, it starts really dark green, and then it fades up to almost completely white. I think the only reason this isn't pure white is because I was painting with dirty water, so it was a tinge green anyway. So that's what we're going to do. So if you don't have paint, which I mean, if you don't have tape, then we're not going to wet the whole paper with water. We're going to start it with just regular paint coming up. Then we're going to wet our brush so it's clean, right? And then we're going to get right next to it. And then we're going to move the paint that's already on there to kind of gradate, just so we're not wetting the whole paper and making it a big old mess.
Can you show your picture again? Can you show your picture again? We're not done yet.
So first thing we need to do is we need to make a green. So mine has a few different greens, but I think you guys just have the primary colors and what, brown? Do you guys have brown? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, but can you wait, please?
Okay, good. I'm going to keep the chat here. I'm still learning, guys. I apologize. Thank you for your patience.
But everyone's saying.
So how do we make green? What two colors make green? So text it, tell it to me, whatever you want. Yep, yellow and blue. Thank you, Grace. So we're going to mix yellow and blue. And depending on how much blue, take out that green, and how much yellow, we're either going to make a really dark green or a really lime green. So it doesn't really show up on the screen, but it's pretty lime green. I put a lot of yellow on it. I want it to be a little darker. So I'm going to add a little bit more blue. And I'm cleaning my brush every time I want to dip my paintbrush into the paint. If you don't want to mix, if you already have green, that's perfectly fine. This is mostly for people that don't have green. And since we're doing the background, you need to make a lot of it. And the reason that I'm mixing onto this, what's called a palette, is because if you just take the paint straight from what's called the color well, then you don't know how much paint is on your brush. You might use a lot of paint that you don't need. That's good green. I like it. Okay. So once we're there, I'm going to load my brush up. I'm using a big brush because I'm doing the background. And I'm starting at the bottom. I'm just painting straight on there. Oh, stop. Forgot to say. Okay. So I painted in all these, I'm sorry guys. I painted in all of these flowers, right? But I didn't paint around like little circles just so I could paint in all the flowers. What I did, and what I mentioned before, was we needed this paper towel, right? This is a really good technique if you want to paint clouds in another painting too, is so you paint, right? You take your paper towel, just kind of bunch it up. You could just dab away so you can get your whites back. And that way, when it's dry, then you can paint in your flowers. You could also hold it to a nice line. Make like a little line for a stem if you want, or a different type of flower. Like there's long shoots of flowers like lupin or snapdragons flowers. They're all different types of shapes of flowers. So you're just, while we're painting, it's gonna be a little fast paced. We're just gonna dab while it's wet. It only works when it's wet. I don't hear anybody. Do you ask to unmute? Do I have to unmute you guys?
No, we just need more time to draw. Turn the volume up. Wait, I know something.
Sorry, I'm looking up the chat. Tracy, am I supposed to unmute you? It says asked to unmute. Huh. Okay. Okay. So we got our paint. Since I just used a little bit, I'm going to make a little bit more. Okay, so I've got my paper towel in one hand, got my paintbrush loaded up with green in the other hand, and I'm starting on my side. I notice I'm using the side of my brush. I'm not doing this. I'm using the side of my brush so I can get long, big strokes. And then I can go back and forth.
Cecily, this is wet on wet, right? Wet the background, right? She can't hear.
Cecily, can you hear me?
Middle.
Cecily, can you hear me?
I'm gonna water.
Yeah, I hear the other people, but she's not hearing
my
us.
brush with just water. And I'm gonna come right up next to it. And I'm moving the paint that's already on the paper up to the top. Oh, volume down. Hold on, guys.
Can you hear us? I think she's
She
muted.
heard me earlier, but she
I
doesn't.
think she need.
I bet she's muted.
You
Yeah,
guys
I
hear
think
me?
she's new. I think she's new to Zoom.
Can you
Did
hear
I
us?
mute
you-
myself?
Turn up your volume.
We can hear you, but you can.
I don't think she can hear us. I think she's new to Zoom.
We can hear you, but you can't hear us. Yeah. I'm gonna ask to unmute.
Can you hear us?
Sorry, guys. I thought you guys could just come in here and.
You have to turn your volume up.
Turn up your volume on your computer. My.
You heard me earlier. Can you hear me now? Can you hear us now? Testing.
Everyone can.
Yeah, she heard me.
Us
Okay. I don't know how that happened. I'm so sorry. Like I heard you guys before.
I
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I hear you now. I was like, why are
I
you so
still.
quiet?
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know how I heard you guys before. That's weird. Okay, so how's everyone doing?
So is this wet on wet?
My grass is bleeding into my gear.
Okay. So let me go back to sharing. Here. Okay.
I wonder if when you go to sharing, you lose our.
Sorry?
I wonder if when you share, if you can, that's when you lose us. Can you still hear us now that you're sharing?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I must have.
So,
Who knows? But if you're,
Who knows?
super pretty black green.
if you did accidentally paint into your, definitely, I would sop it up as much as you can with your paper towel. Get as much pigment off, and then paint our deer. It's gonna be dark enough where you're not gonna see the green.
Okay.
Okay. Is everybody at a painting stage? Is everybody's drawing? Okay. So I'm gonna keep going.
I'm not done.
Painting? Drawing? So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So it's the same thing that we did here, and this way we can all together make sure we've got it down. So we're gonna start with the paint, just painting straight. Load our brush with paint. So we're gonna have our brush in one hand and a paper towel in another. And whenever you dot with your paper towel, try to get like a clean section. If it's too wet, it's just gonna move the paint around. It's not gonna give you those white spots. All right. So I'm coming right next to my deer. Going around, going in. Okay. And while it's still wet, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just gonna make a few spots. That's gonna be where our flowers are gonna be. We could even have it on the side of the deer, a spot, maybe the flowers coming up behind the deer, or maybe we're gonna paint a flower on top of the deer. So once you have those spots, you can continue with your paint. Oh, where did I just do that? All right. And once you're halfway, you want to wash off your brush. So it's just water, there's no paint. And we're going to use our wet brush to move the paint that's already on the paper. It's going to move up. And you can't even tell on the screen, but it's just the faintest of green. I would even just like touch in a little extra green just because it's so faint. There we go. Okay. So now we have to wait for that to dry. So how's everyone doing?
Good.
Okay. So while we wait for that to dry, we're going to do the shadow of the deer. So when we work with, a lot of times when we think of shadows, we think of like dark, right? We'll either use black for a shadow or maybe like a dark brown. But would you believe that I painted blue on this deer? It was very light blue. When you layer, what's really great with watercolor is you can layer all these colors to build your lights and your shadows. So I'm going to wipe off some of my green. And I'm going to make a puddle of blue. Blue. There we go. So while we wait for this to dry and we wait for everyone to catch up, I'm just going to do a little tutorial on how blue can be a shadow. So let's just say this is the deer. Just gonna paint do a little shadow. Eyes. That could be the shadow. Okay. Okay. Then if we put, so use the brown that I have, so it's good. I just put this brown on top of it. It reads as a shadow. It's not working too good because everything's a little wet, but still. This definitely looks darker than right here, right? Okay. So I'm making a big puddle of blue. And if your background's really wet, when we paint in our blue, we don't want to have it touch the outside, right? If you have two wet parts touch each other, it's going to be like that wet on wet technique, and they're going to bleed together and it won't have a nice crisp line. Okay, so I'm going to start here. Notice I'm going click, 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 click. So it's not like a big block. And it reads as fur. There we go. You guys can see.
Why is there a blue in there?
We're using the blue as a shadow. So when we layer our brown, on top of it, it's not going to look blue. It's going to look like a shadow. And our eyes are really dark, so we're going to put those blue too. But if you want your highlights, you want to be shiny and the highlights give light. We don't have white watercolor paint. When we want white in our painting, use the white of the paper. So when we paint in our eyes, I would start by painting circles. You don't have to do as many as me. You could do like one or two. I just like it really, really shiny and cute. And then fill in the eye. I like it. Okay, so again, circle, circle, circle. However many circles you want. Inside of the nose is in shadow. Anywhere you think a shadow is, you don't have to do the exact same. Underneath the head, like underneath our head. is in shadow. And again, I want it to read as fur, so I'm not gonna have it be a block. I'm just gonna go click, 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 click. There we go. There we go. Underneath the lip, because the top lip hangs over the bottom lip, it's going to be in shadow. And on the side of the muzzle. Sometimes even right underneath the eye too. The eye can be so big. It kind of just creates a shadow. There we go. Put shadow on top of the eye too. It's kind of scary. Okay. There we go. And while we're waiting for that to dry, you can start painting in your flower shapes here. So, like think of like what kind of colors would you want your flowers to be?
Pink.
Pink. If you don't have
Red.
red, yes.
Blue.
Blue.
Purple.
Yeah. Yellow. What about orange? The state flower of California is a little orange flower called a California poppy. So just telling you in case you want to put a little California in there. You don't have to. So I definitely want to put orange. So I'm going to do yellow and red. Mix them together and I need orange. So I'm not worrying about the stem right now. Just cleaning and shape. They don't have to be the exact shape of a flower if you don't want them to. Being very loose. Very painterly. Robert Lieber. I don't think I do. I don't think I do. I don't know. Yellow. And you don't have to do the exact same as me. This is your meadow. So you get to paint your flowers, whatever colors you want. Circle. And purple, you mix red and blue together. Like a purple. And if you guys are mixing colors, if you have a little piece of paper somewhere, you can use it to test your colors too. So yeah, I like that purple. It's a nice purple. Then once you have most of your flowers, you can do a few more colors from your flowers up here. It's so light, you could switch between a bigger brush to a little brush if you have one. So it's the green is so light up here, then you could easily just put in color here. And notice that I'm getting smaller and smaller the higher I go up. It's because these flowers are close to our deer. These flowers back here are off into the distance. They're far off. So some of these are just like little dots. Okay. So you want to check your deer. My deer's pretty dry. And I've run out of room on my palette, so I'm going to take my paper towel just to clean it up. If you guys are still working on your flowers, that's okay. If your deer's dry though, you can go back to your flowers whenever you want. You can stop with your flowers.
Cecily?
Yeah.
Is there green between your deer's ears?
Barely.
Did you put a light coat of green between the ears? Just a little, huh? Okay.
Barely, yeah. It's so pale, it's not even showing up on the projector.
Yeah, that's what I asked. Okay.
All right. So our deer is brown, a reddish brown. Brown. If you don't have brown paint though, like an umber or a sienna, you can make your brown using 3 colors. You can mix it using red. Yellow. And it's
Hi guys, what's up? Just a minute.
Don't want to use equal parts with blue because it could turn into
See
black.
what you got.
Mix it
How
up.
much? Okay,
And
let me get my purse.
starting to get a brown. Looking kind of like a yellowy brown. I want it to be a red brown. So that means I want more red. So you're not going to get it perfectly right at once. That's fine. We're just going to mix colors and figure it out until we get to a brown that we like. If you have brown, no, you could just use the brown that you have. If you want it to be more red, you could add more red to it. I have a brown, and this brown is really dark. So when I do use it, I like to add more red and yellow to it. But if you don't have a brown, red, yellow, and a little bit of blue. All right, let's see how this works. That's a nice brown. All right. Everything is dry. Yay. And we're making a huge puddle of brown because we've got a huge deer. Okay. So we're loading our brush up. And we're off. If you want to put flowers in front of the deer, you can. You would just do the same thing that we did with the grass, where you would just get a clean piece of paper towel and blot. That's if you want to, though. I think it adds a nice dimension. See how it's starting to look like a shadow, like a darker brown here instead of blue. We're just filling it in, except for the whites in the eyes, right? Because we want those to be white. So take your time. You want to try your best to kind of stay in the lines. If not, it's okay. Oh, I also, sometimes deers have white around their muzzle. So if you want your deer to have white, just use your paper towel, kind of blot that in. kind of like it better than just leaving it white because it has a little bit of that brown tone to it. Because you want the eyes to be the bright spots. And you can paint in the eyes if you want. I'm going to keep mine blue for now just because I'm going to teach you guys how to make black if you don't have it. But if you already painted your eyes, then that's okay. It's not going to affect your painting in a bad way. So it's okay if you're not at the same pace as me because watercolor takes a while to dry. So we're all gonna have to wait for the paint anyway, right? There we go. And I'm just making sure I didn't miss any spots. There we go. And once we're here, wait for it to dry. And while we're waiting for things to dry, if you want to add in any little fur textures on the side, you can either use the paint. If it's really wet, you can use the paint that's already there. If not, you can pick up some paint and using just a tiny brush. Let's see here. Oh, that thing's so scary. I can't wait to pull that in the black. It looks like an alien. Okay, so I'm just going just in a few areas. It's not a really fuzzy deer, but we still want to make it read as fur. So I'm just picking out areas. Okay. So we're waiting for that to dry. And while we're waiting for that to dry, even if your flowers aren't dry, you can also start to put in some of your flower stems. You can put in some leaves, grass, but you don't want to touch your deer yet. So we're kind of just going back and forth, waiting for things to dry. Like, okay, I don't want to just sit here. I guess I could work on this next. So you're just looking for a dry spot to just keep working. So I want green. So I'm mixing blue and yellow. Or if you have green, you can use your green. And I would, if you're mixing your green, I would definitely make it a little darker than your background green, just so it stands out better. All right. I'm just using my small brush. I'm going, oh, there we go. And we could add little leaves. It's really pretty if your flowers are still wet too. Like I think this one's still dry. You touch it. And it's spreading on the flower, and it kind of looks like it's making its own little, it just looks, I actually like it. It looks like it's connected. Just connecting all my little flowers. And my flowers can be overlapped, so I can just run right through them. And even these teeny tiny ones, you don't have to make a line all the way to the bottom, but you can make like a little line. Kind of just gives the impression of, okay, this meadow goes on for a while. Very loose with this paint. So if your deer is dry, you can start.
My deer isn't showing a shadow.
Is it showing a shadow? Does it look like it's blue or?
A little bit still blue.
Okay. If it still looks blue, what you can do is you could put another layer of your brown on top. Also, we're gonna, if we have time. Yeah. Also, you can, when we paint, I put red in my brown. Oh no. Like here, this kind of still reads blue too, huh? So if you run into that problem where like, okay, teacher said this is supposed to look like a shadow, why is it blue? It means that our brown needs to be a little darker just to kind of fade in. So this faded in really well into a shadow. This is lighter. I didn't put enough brown in there. For time's sake, I'm just gonna make my brown with my creamy brown. So in that case, you would just, there we go. That's pretty close. You just put another layer. See how now it's looking like a shadow instead of blue compared to that one? Okay. So if you had to do another shadow, another layer, you can do that. So up here, my dear, is wet, but down here it's dry. If where you had more spots for flowers is dry, you can go ahead and paint in some colors for those flowers. Red, orange, purple. I really like these orange.
How'd you get that black outline on your picture?
Black outline?
Did you just push? It looks like where you would have the pencil, but it looks like darker than a pencil.
Oh, right here?
Is that pencil? Yeah,
Uh,
no, all on the perimeters of your.
That's actually the paint.
Yeah, those.
Built up, actually. So like probably from when I
Okay, that's what.
did the green outline.
Just pushed it over.
Yeah, it kind of just built up there. Kind of neat, actually.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm still waiting for this to dry, but that's okay. I'm going to show you guys how to make black if you don't have black. So to make black, it's the same thing. It's a snake. It's the same recipe to make brown. We're going to use our primary colors. Use red, blue, and yellow. So when we mixed brown, we didn't use a lot of blue, but for the black, you do need blue. All right, so I'm gonna mix and see what I get. So it's looking a little brown. That means I need more blue. If yours looks green, it means you need more red. And this is where using your test paper is a really good idea. So it's kind of grayish. It's almost black. Almost. Probably should have filled my blue up. Oh well, I'll do it next time. That's pretty black. So still waiting on this head to dry, but now I have my black. And my green is fading into the black. Okay. So if you're waiting for one part to dry, you need to paint somewhere else, right? So even though these flowers are still wet, I think I can still paint some stems on them. Just touch it. Oh, it's actually dry there. Cool. And I'm gonna use, so notice I'm not holding it like, I'm not using my wrist. I'm using my whole arm. I'm not moving my wrist. That way, if you want to make a straight line, it's easier that way. If you use your wrist, sometimes it's easier for you to accidentally curve.
Can I share mine?
Yeah, that's super. Let's see. Cute. Okay, spotlight. Spotlight. No. I'm going to figure out how to share it, but it looks really cute, teeny
I
tiny.
think I'm ready to show.
There we go. Yay! Oh, it's so cute.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Nice.
You.
Good job. I love the pinks in the ears.
Thank you.
Very nice.
I have to go now because my stepsister wants me to play with her outside.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us and thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. Bye.
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 Bye. We'll go back to sharing. There we are. Okay. So we are painting in grass. And stems and leaves. We're being very loose with it. There we go. Okay, I think it is dry enough for my eyes. We're gonna start with a clean brush. Get our black ready. I think I need to make more black. It's very pale. So get my red. my blue. Yellow, mix it around. Test it. Oh, it's black. Good. Okay. And it's okay if it doesn't look pure black in yours either, because remember, there's blue on top. That's going to make it darker. And you don't want it to be pure black. You'll notice on my original, it just, I don't like it. It just looks very insect-like. I like it when it has like that warmer black. Okay. So I'm gonna go in very carefully using my black, go over the eyes. If it's easier to use your smaller brush, I definitely encourage that. I might switch to my smaller brush when I get between these circles. There we go. Go around with my teeny brush. And my big brush. There. I'm gonna fill in a couple of these lights. There we go. That's cute. So, have you ever seen a deer before in real life?
I saw one before.
Yeah? Did you see it in a car or were you walking?
I saw it at Lodi Lake.
Lodi Lake, yes. I was going to say that's like you ever want to see a deer, you will see the whole family at Lodi Lake. Highly, highly recommend that place. I kayak there sometimes on the river. You know, when you walk there, you'll see the river on the side. And I once saw a whole family of deer swimming to get to the grapes on the other side. I did not know how fast deer can swim. You would think with those skinny little legs, they wouldn't be able to swim that fast, but they were speeding across to get those grapes. It was so cute. And they shake their bodies off just like dogs when they get a bath. It's so cute. So yes, I highly recommend go to Lodi Lake. On the right-hand side near the back, they have their little nature trail that you get to go in there, and you will see deer and you will get to be close to them. And there's squirrels. The squirrels are so funny. They like fight with each other and they're like running around above you. It's so cute. All right, so Tracy, to mix brown and black, you're using the same three colors. You're using red, yellow, and black, or sorry, red, yellow, and blue. And you're gonna mix about equal parts if you want black. If you want brown, you're gonna use only a little tiny bit of blue. So basically make it orange and then just add a little bit of blue to make brown. So that's drying. It's almost turned to finish. Okay, so at this point, class is almost over, and this is a good place to stop. If you wanted to add more to this on your own free time, you can, I'm going to show you this little section that's dry. You could use your brown if you wanted to make a like a fur texture. You're going to just very lightly, I'm going to zoom in. I'm just going to go click, 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 very lightly, little teeny tiny lines. And that makes like a fur texture. And you can do that all over if you want. If you wanted to add more to your flowers, once your flowers are dry, you can. You could add maybe yellow centers in some of them. Let's see.
What are you putting over the muzzle? There's this big white spot.
Oh, right. Yes.
What should we?
That's something that we can do before class ends. So if your muzzle's dry, right, you're just gonna go over with that same black that you used for the eyes. So there we go. Like that. And then once that dries, I would go over the nostrils again with either the black or like a dark blue. I would do the black actually, with the nostrils one more time. Yeah. And if you have these gel pens, they're really great. I love them. Jelly Roll. These are really good for if you want to do. If you want to do like little hairs in the light appear to be white. I'll do like little hairs. Or
You put eyelashes on your other one. How do you put the eyelashes on?
So with the black, I'm just gonna use my black paint. My black keeps running into my brown. So I'm just gonna use my black paint so it's already there. Okay. So using my tiny brush, I'm going to barely go follow the line. I'm gonna go click, 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 click. And just along. And the other side. Need more water. It's hard when you're left-handed. Your hand covers everything. There we go. There we go. Got a big puddle in the middle. Looks like a weird star shape. There. Oh, if you wanted to add any shadows to your flowers, you can. Like these poppies, if you just added another layer of orange, it kind of just adds more shape to them. You don't need to do much. There we go. Okay. Ooh, my little ear. Alrighty. Oh, but like I was saying with the jelly roll, it's really good for if you wanted to add little white hairs, if you wanted to add fun details, and you could do this with the black pen too if it's thin enough. But I just really like the look of that white gel pen. You'll see I even like scribbled inside of the ear, like this one's dry. Yeah, if you like scribble inside of the ear, it kind of makes it look like it's fuzzy. This is like my favorite tool. So I think, yeah, we're done with the class. Would anybody like to share what they have? Does anybody have, is their painting dry enough where they'd like to share?
Mine looks like alien eyes, but I can share.
All right.
And I dripped over there.
Ooh. Yours looks more like a
It was fun, Cecile. Thank you. Maybe it's a chihuahua.
Wow, love it.
Maybe it's a chihuahua and flowers.
I love it. Thank you so much. Does anybody else want to share, or if it's too wet, that's okay. You don't have to ruin your painting on account of.
Oh, nice. That looks like a deer, not like a chihuahua like mine. That looks good. Whoa.
Oh, whoa, looks very groovy. Like a 70s poster. Very vibrant, very nice. Ooh, nice.
Good job, Karen.
Yeah, I'm not really done yet. I'm not done yet.
You're doing good though. I like it. Good job. Can't wait to see when it's done. All right. Good job, Brian. All right, guys. So thank you so much. I can't wait to see you guys next week. And you're dismissed.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Cecily.
Bye.
Bye-bye.